This is Trend Following Radio, where great thinking comes alive. Nobel Prize winners, legendary traders, best-selling authors, and the pros that know what drive us irrational human beings. I am your host, Michael Covel. Not filtered, raw, honest. That's my passion. I want to dive into a controversial issue in America that doesn't seem to want to die. The Colin Kaepernick professional football saga never seems to end. Now, even though I've watched a lot of professional American football over the years, I don't watch that much these days. I don't really care that much. I don't care at all about Colin Kaepernick. I don't care whether he plays, whether he doesn't play. I really don't care whether he kneels or not, which is the whole controversy that I will explain in a moment. But this is an interesting case for mindset, for thinking clearly, for making good decisions, for moving forward in life. It's also a great example, in my opinion, of where some young people today are starting to believe the headlines. They're starting to believe these social media narratives, these avatars that they have become. They're not real people anymore. It's like a fantasy. It's strange. And if you happen to be one of those people in that world, for example, if you happen to believe that there is something positive about Colin Kaepernick, listen. Just give me a listen. And if you want to tell me where I'm wrong at the end, okay. Now, for those of you that already think that this guy Kaepernick is a complete idiot who is being used by his political and corporate masters, and that is a very specific word that I'm using, master, because that's what they are, then you already get where I'm going to go most of the way today. But perhaps I'll surprise you a little bit. To set the stage, Colin Kaepernick was a quarterback who 5, 6, 7 years ago took a team to the Super Bowl. His team lost. After that, his performance went downhill for 3, 4, 5 years. He didn't do that great. His last season, I think he was like 1-10, a terrible record in the NFL for a professional quarterback. He got word that he was going to be either released or cut or his salary dropped, and he opted out of his contract. But along the way, during this whole process, he started protesting during the American national anthem. He started taking a knee, kneeling down. For those of you following along, you know that that's kind of a no-no. I think almost in any country, stand there while the national anthem is playing. I mean, I get the free rights thing. I get it. I mean, if you want to burn the flag in America, it's okay. It's probably not thought of so highly. So I get the idea that one can protest. But look, if you're a professional football player and you're being paid by a team millions of dollars, then best to probably do as the owners want and as the fans want. They don't want a protesting quarterback on the knee before the game. But this Colin Kaepernick thing opened up inside of America a political firestorm. Essentially, it became a left-right debate. If you supported Kaepernick, you were more of a left-leaning individual, and you believed, for example, the reason that Kaepernick was protesting because of police violence, you sided with Kaepernick. If you saw Kaepernick as an idiot, and you thought, well, gosh, yes, sometimes police make mistakes, but many of the people that Kaepernick is saying the police are against are causing all kinds of problems. And you went against Kaepernick, and you were probably more likely to have a right-leaning position. Now, this thing died as far as I knew. It was just kind of a political issue. Left, right, pro-cop, anti-cop. Okay, whatever. That's the divide. That was 3 years ago. Now, the guy has been out of the league 3 years. He has not been able to get a job in the NFL. His side says you are colluding against him, keeping him away from getting a job because he did all this protesting. The other side's saying, hey, hold on, this guy was not performing that great. And we don't want him, which you would think in a right-to-work type country, that's okay. So this is where it would have died. We never would have heard this story ongoing. Except a funny little thing happened. This guy Kaepernick became a foot soldier for Nike, a cartoon for Nike, so to speak, a way to sell more shoes, a way to sell more gear. Now, I'm not ripping Nike necessarily. I wear a lot of Nike stuff. I like their shoes. But the Kaepernick story didn't die. He kind of was elevated to this Muhammad Ali circa 1960s level godhood by Nike. So the story kept going on, and a lot of young people really believed this story. And that's their right to believe it. A lot of people did not believe it. But this guy Kaepernick all of a sudden had this huge corporate entity behind him pushing a message clearly to sell product. So since he's been out of the league, the whole story has been, you are colluding against him. The NFL is colluding against him. And thus, he can't work, and he's a martyr. He filed a lawsuit against the National Football League. I believe they settled. He got some compensation of some type. I don't know the amount. And that, again, would have been it. But roll forward, I think, like a year until right now, this last weekend. And the NFL, feeling some kind of heat or perhaps looking to make things right, put together an event for Kaepernick to try out in front of most of the NFL teams to give the guy another shot. At the last minute, 30 minutes before this tryout, Kaepernick pulled out and went to a local high school and did his own tryout in front of, a handful of people. Just a really weird event. I was following this from afar, not really following it too closely. But the lead up, all that lead up that I've given you so far is to get to what happened next, because it really becomes less about left and right and less about black and white and more about just delusional, narcissistic, perhaps even insane. At the end of this workout, which only a few teams attended because he moved it at the last minute, Kaepernick gave a speech, like a 90-second speech. And he referred to himself as we. He told the owners of the NFL to stop running. It was just a bizarre display for a guy who wants a job, or he says he wants a job in the NFL. It was pretty clear he didn't want a job in the NFL. It was pretty clear it was all one big game. And I want to add some commentary from a African-American sports writer, a guy named Jason Whitlock, because he really lays out clearly in these 4 or 5 tweets that I'm going to read. He lays out something that if you can kind of blur your mind a little bit, he's not really talking about Kaepernick. He's not really talking about this issue. That's not really relevant. This is just one guy, one professional athlete who's made millions of dollars, who's complaining, who's got Nike paying him millions of dollars, and he wants to be a martyr. He wants to be crucified. That's not really where Whitlock goes. If you read between the lines in these tweets that I'm going to read, you'll see it opens up Pandora's box for perhaps what's really ailing society today. And again, as I said from the top of this podcast, if you think I'm wrong about my criticism of Kaepernick, maybe, just maybe, after considering these tweets from Whitlock, these ideas, these thoughts, you might have a different perspective. The first one, Cap has a small, loud, militant following. Kaepernick, Colin Kaepernick. They exist exclusively via social media. In the real world, Cap is seen as a lost soul with serious identity issues. Today was a final straw for objective, rational people. #clownshow. Now, that was exactly what I felt after I watched this guy talk after his workout. It was like watching a young kid who believes his Instagram following. He believes the praise. He's kind of like not really connected to the real life anymore. He's connected to some kind of like avatar fake life. Now, we are all seeing this across society. It's not just this guy Kaepernick. Again, that's what the whole point here is. I really don't give a shit about the football player. I really don't give a shit about whatever issue he's protesting. What's interesting to me is the delusion, the narcissism, the insanity that one can find themselves in and not know you're in it and not make good decisions, not find yourself on top. Now, you have to realize that when Kaepernick came to this workout, he was wearing a Kunta Kinte t-shirt. This is the African slave in the famous TV show Roots. So this was a name, the African name I believe the character wanted to use versus the name that the Southern plantation owners gave this slave. So when you wear a t-shirt that says Kunta Kinte, you're kind of saying you are slaves. So this guy Kaepernick wants to work in the NFL again. He wants to work for one of these owners. But he's pretty much saying they're slave masters. Now, Jason Whitlock goes on to say, we have a duty to prepare young men for success. You don't wear your anger to a job interview, especially jobs that pay millions. That's a Twitter move. I love where Whitlock goes in just a few words. That's a Twitter move. That's a social media move. That's a ego move. If this guy really wanted to play football, he would be playing football. He doesn't want to play football. And you know what? Most people today are also just talking. They're saying whatever to feel good in the moment, that rush that they get from the likes. All their buddies say something nice on Facebook or Twitter, Instagram, and that rush, that feeling is so overwhelmingly positive, you really don't care anymore if you're in fact or reality. Now you might think this is just one big tangent by me today, one big rant. Not really. I think society is taking a major dent right now. Society is taking a hit because people are losing themselves. They don't know which end is up. I had a great guest on the other day. You should check out this interview with Mark Minervini. We were talking about this very issue of mindset. Now, again, I really don't care about the left, right, black, white crap of America. But this particular sportscaster who I'm quoting, Jason Whitlock, is laying out the issue. He's laying out the most important thing. Now, what do the critics of Jason Whitlock say? They immediately say he's, Uncle Tom and all this other kind of stuff and just immediately throw ad hominem at him, but they don't defeat his logic. They don't defeat his wisdom. They don't defeat his perspective. They just throw shit against the wall. Whitlock goes on to say, Cap does not and has not wanted to play football since the 49ers benched him. Every act since that moment has been about being a martyr and giving himself an excuse for failure. That's another great one. Blur your mind. It's not about Kaepernick. It's not about the NFL. It's not about football. An excuse for failure. People don't want to try today because they don't want to fail. But if you don't try, you'll never win. Now, that particular lesson, which is the root of Larry Height's new book, The Rule, the venture capital mindset, the trend following mindset, the take a loss mindset. If you don't do that, you won't have success. You'll just meander about. So this guy Whitlock is properly seeing that Kaepernick really doesn't want to play football. He just wants to troll the NFL. He wants to get attention because attention is rewarding him. Nike's paying him millions. Now, how does this help the average kid out there, the average 10-year-old or 15-year-old? Think about what it's doing to their mind. You might be able to see through all this. You might be able to digest it all and make sense of it. But what does a young person do with it all? Whitlock goes on to say, we are an hour away from the real men, Deshaun Watson and Lamar Jackson, two black quarterbacks in the NFL who happen to have been playing this particular day. So he says we're an hour away from the real men, taking the field and demonstrating what adults do. Put the work in. Whitlock goes on to say, it pisses me off that Kaepernick is distracting from Deshaun, Lamar, Russ, Dak, Jacoby, Mahomes. Real men work, they don't whine. Let me play this little 90-second clip from this guy Kaepernick. This is after the workout that I've been talking about. I just want to let this play. And you tell me if you're inspired by an individual who thinks and talks like this. Now, mind you, when he uses the word we, he's talking about himself. Quite an amazing display of narcissism.
Hey, let me start by saying I appreciate y'all coming out. That means a lot to me. Our biggest thing with everything today was making sure we had transparency in what went on. We weren't getting that elsewhere, so we came out here. It's important that y'all are here. Y'all been attacked for the last 3 years. Y'all continue to be attacked. We appreciate what y'all do. We appreciate you being here today. We appreciate the work you do for the people and telling the truth. That's what we want in everything. I've been ready for 3 years. I've been denied for 3 years. We all know why I came out here, showed it today in front of everybody. We have nothing to hide. So we're waiting for the 32 owners, the 32 teams, Roger Goodell, all of them to stop running. Stop running from the truth. Stop running from the people. We're out here, we're ready to play. We're ready to go anywhere. My agent, Jeff Nally, is ready to talk to any team, interview with any team at any time. I've been ready, I'm staying ready, and I'll continue to be ready. And to all the people that came out here today to support, I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. To the people that aren't here, I'm thinking of you. I appreciate you supporting from where you are. We'll continue to give you updates as we hear. We'll be waiting to hear from Roger Goodell, the NFL, the 32 teams. We'll let you know if we hear from them. Ball's in their court, we're ready to go.
That's just a guy who's lost. Somebody did not tell him or teach him which end is up. Or the money has just distracted him into this whole different belief set. The money, the adulation from social media, etc. Now, before you start to criticize me, just keep extrapolating out this example to society, to everything you see in society. This is not just unique to this guy Kaepernick. The decision-making of millions and millions of people is being mixed up into a blender, and they don't know which way to go. But they clearly take the way that feels good, the way where there's the adulation, the likes, and the ego feeding. Now, Whitlock had one last tweet that I want to read. Kaepernick's running around with this bogus Know Your Rights campaign. How about someone put Kaepernick in the camp of know how to get a job or know how to maintain a career? We have Kaepernick out here as a role model for kids? ? Really? ? This is all dangerous messaging for kids. I agree 100% with Whitlock. It's dangerous messaging for kids. And it's not just Kaepernick. It's across society, almost every issue. People are losing the ability to know right from wrong, up from down. And ultimately, in a world like my world, investing and trading, if you're so fucked in the head, so emotionally vacant, so emotionally lost, God, you're just guaranteed to blow your money in the markets. If you can't think clearly, if you can't feel clearly, if you are one big cloudy mess, man, it doesn't end nice for you. You're not going to be happy. I think the last thing Whitlock said there was really important. Real men do the work. They don't whine. I see a time when those awake will understand how to make money in up, down, and surprise markets. Whether new trader or experienced, college student or financial advisor, protecting against a crash or just trying to make a lot of money, trend following offers everyone an answer in uncertain times. To get started immediately, send me an email, michael@covel.com, I will send you the right trend following steps to take along with my free video. But if you want to buy and hold, trust the government and trust Wall Street, this is absolutely not for you.